The most effective sneaker advertisement in history was written by the NBA's lawyers. One letter, dated February 25, 1985, telling Nike that a pair of red and black shoes violated league rules, and a $126 million empire grew out of the envelope. Since that day, the league has banned shoes for their color, banned them mid-playoffs, banned them for making players jump too high. Fines have been threatened, statements have been issued, and every single time the same thing happened next. The shoe won. And here's the record after 40 years. The NBA has never once banned a sneaker without making it famous. Not once. Not the shoe of the greatest player ever, not a patent leather grail, not a spring-loaded startup nobody had heard of the week before. The ban that built an empire and the two lies inside it. You know the story. Everyone knows the story. It's the founding myth of modern sneaker culture. 1984. Rookie Michael Jordan wears the black and red Air Jordan 1. The league says, too much black, too much red, not enough white, $5,000 fine per game. Nike pays every fine without blinking, then cuts the most famous shoe commercial ever made. A slow pan down Jordan's body, black sensor bars slamming over the shoes on his feet, and a voice, "Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them. Air Jordans from Nike." The forbidden shoe sells $126 million in year one, against a $3 million projection. Great story. 40 years of retros, documentaries, and re-releases have been built on it. Now here's what actually happened. And I promise the truth is better. Twist number 1. The banned shoe wasn't the Air Jordan 1. Go back to the actual letter. It's dated February 25, 1985, and it references red and black Nike basketball shoes Jordan wore on or around October 18, 1984. That's the preseason. The Air Jordan 1 didn't exist on an NBA court yet. The shoe the league was writing about was the Nike Airship, an off-the-shelf Nike model Jordan wore as a rookie while his signature shoe was still in production. Same red and black scheme, completely different sneaker, and the on-court record backs it up completely. Jordan's regular season debut at Madison Square Garden, November 8, 1984, white and red Airships. His then career-high 45 points against the Spurs that same month, white and red Airships. When the Air Jordan 1 arrived, he played in the league-approved colorways, the Chicago, the black toe. Here's the detail that should end the debate forever. In 40 years, no photograph has ever surfaced of Michael Jordan wearing the black and red Air Jordan 1 in an actual NBA game. Collectors and historians have hunted for one for decades. Challenges have been posted on Jordan forums. Documentary screenshots have been debunked frame by frame. The closest anyone gets is the 1985 dunk contest, where Jordan wore them with an Air Jordan warm-up suit and gold chains. And a dunk contest isn't a sanctioned game, which is exactly why he could. The most famous banned shoe in history has no crime scene photo because it was never at the scene. Twist number 2, and this only surfaced in 2025. The shoes weren't even banned. An internal Nike newsletter from 1985, printed for employees after Jordan's rookie season, resurfaced 4 decades later, and it addresses the banned campaign directly. Actually, the shoes weren't banned. The newsletter goes on. The NBA requested the colors be changed to match the Bulls' uniforms, and Nike was, in its own internal words, quick to comply. Quick to comply, while simultaneously running national television ads about defying the league. And those famous $5,000 fines? Sneaker historians who have investigated for years have found no evidence they were ever actually paid. No league record, no Nike record, nothing. Jordan himself told the banned version of the story for over 30 years. The myth was simply too good for anyone to correct. So inventory what Nike actually pulled off in 1985. They took a warning letter about a different shoe, attached it to their brand new signature model, invented a rebellion, complied quietly behind the scenes, and sold defiance to an entire generation of kids. It might be the greatest marketing sleight of hand in the history of sports. Think about the nerve of it. The ad literally showed sensor bars over shoes that no sensor ever touched, narrated a prohibition that internal documents now admit never happened, and it worked so completely that the shoe's own designer, the player, and 2 generations of collectors all repeated the story as fact. And the receipts have only grown with time. A game-worn pair of those white and red Airships from Jordan's 5th NBA game sold at auction for nearly $1.5 million. Jordan Brand itself now leans into the truth, re-releasing the True Band Shoe Airship and dropping Anniversary Band 1S with replica crumpled letters. The shoe that took the fall is worth more than most people's houses, and the company that invented the crime now sells the evidence. The league wrote one stern letter. Nike built a religion on it. That's the template every ban in the rest of this video follows, sometimes on purpose, sometimes by accident. The playoff ban, Air Jordan 11 Concord, 1995. 10 years later, the league did it again, and this time the shoe on trial really was the shoe. May 1995. Jordan is weeks into his comeback from baseball. Rusty, wearing the unfamiliar number 45, facing a young Orlando Magic team in the playoffs. The Bulls had a team rule for that postseason. Everyone wears black shoes. Unity through uniformity. And Jordan walks out of the tunnel in the brand new Air Jordan 11 Concord, blinding white patent leather, a shoe that wasn't scheduled to release for months, glowing under the arena lights like nothing the league had ever seen on a basketball court. Patent leather was for dress shoes. Carbon fiber plates didn't exist in basketball, and here was both unannounced on the most watched feet in the world. By every account from that night, it was impossible to look at anything else, which was exactly the problem. The Concords didn't comply with the black shoe rule, and they were shut down for the rest of that playoff run. The famous version of the story includes a $5,000 fine, history rhyming with 1985, a decade apart. And that Orlando series was already a circus of violations. This is the same stretch where Jordan, stung by Nick Anderson's jab that number 45 didn't explode like number 23, ditched 45 and put the sacred 23 back on mid-series, drawing separate league fines for the unapproved number change. For 2 weeks in May 1995, Michael Jordan was basically paying the NBA rent to be himself. And the result of the shoe ban was the 1985 playbook all over again. Except this time, nobody had to invent anything. An entire national TV audience got one forbidden glimpse of an unreleased shoe being too much for the NBA. When the Concord finally released that fall, it detonated. He wore the 11 through the 72-win season. Space Jam put it on every screen on Earth, and 30 years later it remains arguably the most beloved Air Jordan ever made, the one that still sells out every re-release in minutes. The ban didn't hurt the Concord. The ban was the trailer. If you're buying, the Concord is the most re-released grail in the line, so OG pairs, not retros, carry the history premium. And on any 11, inspect the patent leather along the mudguard for yellowing. Patent doesn't forgive age, and on this shoe, the shine is the value. The shoe banned for actually working, APL Concept 1, 2010. Every ban so far was about looks, color rules, uniform codes. This one is the only ban in league history about what a shoe actually did. And it's the purest proof of the pattern, because the company involved had no history, no superstar, and no marketing budget. 2010. Twin brothers Adam and Ryan Goldston, identical twins, former USC basketball players, barely out of school, launch a startup called Athletic Propulsion Labs. Their first product, the Concept One, makes a claim no basketball shoe had ever made with a straight face. It makes you jump higher, instantly, not through training, through hardware. The technology was called Load and Launch, a spring-based propulsion system implanted in a cavity in the forefoot, 8 compression springs acting as a literal launch pad, loading the energy of your step and returning it as lift. They took out a double-page ad in Slam magazine. And then the phone started ringing. NBA players, agents, players' relatives, and the league office itself, all reaching out to ask about the shoe with springs in it. The NBA's answer came on October 19, 2010, in an official statement. League rules prohibit any shoe that creates, quote, an undue competitive advantage, for example, to increase a player's vertical leap. And therefore players would not be permitted to wear APL shoes in NBA games. Banned, before a single NBA player ever wore one in a game. The first, and to this day the only, sneaker ever banned by the league for performance reasons. Now savor the details because they're almost too perfect. The ban landed on the 25th anniversary of the NBA's famous letter about Jordan's shoes, a quarter-century apart nearly to the day. And where the 1985 ban was marketing built on a technicality, this one was the inverse. the most respected basketball league on earth, publicly certifying in writing that a two guys in a garage startup had built a shoe too good to be legal. There is no advertisement money can buy that says what that statement said for free. The Goldstons knew it instantly. They ran the ban as their entire campaign, just as Nike had, and sales went, in their own founder's word, meteoric. NBA and WNBA players bought pairs anyway for everything but games. The company used that momentum to pivot into luxury performance footwear, and it's still standing 15 years later. An entire brand whose origin story was written, signed, and certified by the NBA. The league banned a shoe to protect competitive balance. What it actually did was hand two brothers a birth certificate, the quiet bans. Between the famous cases, the league has spent decades policing footwear in smaller ways. Warnings, forced fixes, and one giant standing rule that never made headlines but explains everything else in this video. The Chrome Jordan Melo M10, 2013-14. Carmelo Anthony's Jordan brand signature that season launched with a mirror chrome heel counter, genuinely striking and genuinely a problem. Arena lights bounced off the chrome hard enough to create visibility issues on court and on broadcast, with the added concern of what happens if a chrome piece breaks off mid-game. There was no press release and no public ban. The chrome simply became an issue, and Jordan Brand built Melo a matte heel version for the second half of the season. Whether the league leaned or the brand jumped, the result was the same. The shiny version quietly disappeared. That's how most footwear policing actually works. No paperwork, no headlines, just a shoe that changes between January and April. And the biggest quiet ban of all, the one this channel has covered before, the uniform rule itself. For decades, going back to the era when players were required to wear predominantly white shoes that matched their teammates, the NBA maintained what amounted to a standing, league-wide ban on color. That single rule is the hidden thread of this entire video. It's why the 1985 letter existed. It's why the Concords got pulled. It's why an entire shadow catalog of player exclusives had to be built in team colors only. Every famous ban in this video is really just that one rule, flaring up. Then, in 2019, the league repealed it. Any color, any shoe, any game. Players showed up in pinks and neons and one-of-one customs. Broadcasters built segments around tunnel fits and footwear. And the league, that once fined Michael Jordan over black and red, now runs social posts celebrating the loudest pairs on the floor. And notice what happened next. Because it's the quiet punchline of this whole story. The sneaker chaos that followed, the wildest era of on-court footwear in history, has produced 0 new legendary bans. Nothing to smuggle, nothing to censor, nothing to forbid. The league stopped saying no. And the forbidden shoe era simply ended. Turns out the bans always needed the rule more than the shoes ever did. So, run the scoreboard after 40 years. 1985, the league flags a shoe and accidentally co-writes the most successful sneaker campaign ever made for a shoe it never even banned, about a crime with no photograph. 1995, the league pulls the Concords mid-playoffs and trailers the most beloved Jordan of all time to a national audience free of charge. 2010, the league bans a spring-loaded startup sneaker and hands two brothers from USC a certified origin myth that built their entire company. 2019, the league finally stops banning shoes altogether, and the era ends not with a bang, but with permission. Final record, the NBA, 0. The banned shoes, undefeated, and if you've been watching this channel, you already know why it could never have gone any other way. It's the same law behind the player exclusives you were never allowed to buy, and the samples that died in the vault. The fastest way to make people want something is to tell them they can't have it. Scarcity builds desire slowly, over years. A ban builds it overnight, because a ban isn't just a closed door. It's an authority figure standing in front of the door, in uniform, confirming to the entire world that whatever's behind it must be worth guarding. Nike understood that in 1985 so completely that they manufactured the whole thing out of one letter about the wrong shoe. And the sport spent the next 40 years proving them right, over and over, every time it reached for the whistle. The NBA has spent 4 decades trying to control what's on players' feet. All it ever did was tell the world which shoes to want next.